After discovering my wife's infidelity, I didn't hesitate to share the evidence of her affair on a local forum. Soon after, my wife sued me for damaging her reputation. After the judge's ruling, I had to publicly apologize to my cheating wife. 10 days after the court session, she smugly patted my face. Finding a younger man was just to spice up our marriage. What can a small engineer like you do? She thought she had won. Little did she know. This was just the beginning of her nightmare. The first day Jinghao apologized to his loving wife that evening, Jinghao trended on Hot Search. In the video, I sincerely apologized. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have blamed you for using the money I earned from overtime to pay for your assistant's upkeep. Netizens exploded. The next day, I accidentally filmed a corner of a document in my study. The third day, a reflection revealed her unclosed computer screen. Each apology video exposed a secret of my wife, Lu Ruyan. The sound of the judge's gavel was muffled, like a wet piece of wood hitting cotton. This court rules that the defendant, Lin Fan, must publish a public apology statement to Ms. Lu Ruyan on his personal social media account for 10 consecutive days to eliminate the negative impact. I stood in the defendant's dock, listening to these words, bouncing out of the judge's mouth one by one. The air conditioning was a bit too strong, making the back of my neck cold. I could feel the gazes from the public gallery sticking to my back. Curious, sympathetic, or just watching the show. My lawyer, Old Chen, sighed softly beside me. The sound was very faint. On the plaintiff's side, Lu Ruyan wore a champagne-colored suit today, her hair meticulously styled. She slightly raised her chin, the curve of her mouth impossible to suppress. Her lawyer next to her was tidying up documents, moving unhurriedly, exuding the composure of someone confident of victory. 3 months ago, I posted photos of her and her young assistant strolling hand-in-hand at a jewelry store, along with screenshots of their explicit chat logs on our local lifestyle forum. The post was hot for less than 8 hours before it was deleted. But I was quick. The screenshots had already spread everywhere. She reacted even faster. A week later, I received a court summons. The cause of action was a dispute over reputation rights. The compensation amount had several zeros after it. The process moved quickly. Her lawyer provided a thick stack of evidence saying that the false information I published had severely damaged Ms. Lu Ruyan's social standing and mental health. My defense about the affair, about those hotel booking records I recovered from her assistant's phone that she forgot to delete. The judge said, "That's another matter. It's not within the scope of this case." The gavel struck again, pausing the proceedings. I slowly gathered the thin judgment paper on the table. It was very light, with no weight in my hand. Footsteps approached, bringing a familiar perfume scent, but now mixed with something else, sweeter. It was the cologne her young assistant usually wore. Lu Ruyan stopped in front of me. She was half a head shorter than me, but today, wearing high heels, her gaze was almost level with mine. She extended her hand, not for a handshake. Her palm gently patted my cheek. Once, twice. The movement was light, like dusting off something, but extremely insulting. A few low gasps came from the people still in the public gallery. "Did you hear? 10 days of apologies." Her voice wasn't loud, only audible to the two of us with a smile. "Publicly online. Don't forget to @ me. I'll be checking." I looked at her without speaking. "Lin Fan, I never realized you had such a temper before." She leaned in a bit, her voice even lower. "How many times have I told you? I just found life boring. Wanted to find some novelty. People get tired. You come home from overtime every day and just crash. What's the difference between me and a widow? Little Yang and I were just having some fun. A little adjustment. Once I'm tired of it, my heart will naturally come back. Why can't you understand?" I looked at her exquisitely painted lips, opening and closing. She had said similar things when I discovered those chat logs, and we had a heated argument that night. But hearing it now, against the solemn backdrop of the courtroom, it sounded particularly absurd. Understand? I heard my own voice, steady and somewhat unfamiliar. Understand you need adjustment? She seemed not to catch the sarcasm in my words. Or perhaps she simply didn't care. She nodded in satisfaction, her eyes like she was looking at a finely tamed, unruly pet. As for divorce, don't even think about it. Her tone was light, like she was discussing what to eat for dinner. "I won't agree. You're just a tech guy, at best. A slightly more senior engineer. Without me, what would you have? The house is in my name. The car is in my name. After your meager salary pays the mortgage, what's left? Just apologize properly, and this matter will be over. Life still has to go on." She paused and added, "Don't worry. Like charity. As long as you're obedient, I won't shortchange you on your share at home. I'll also handle things with your little Yang." After speaking, she gave me one last look. Her eyes held pity, condescension, and a confident sense of control. Then she turned, her high heels clicking crisply on the marble floor, and walked away with her lawyer, who had been waiting nearby. Old Chen came over and patted my shoulder, his face looking grim. "Lin Fan, we did our best with this outcome. An appeal wouldn't make much difference, although she didn't insist on the compensation. This public apology," he shook his head, "it's too humiliating. Why don't you talk to her privately again? After all, you were husband and wife." "No need." I folded the judgment papers and put it into my old briefcase. "Thank you for your hard work. I'll transfer the fees to you later." Walking out of the courthouse, the sunlight was a bit dazzling. I squinted, watching the white Porsche at the bottom of the steps. The assistant got out of the driver's seat, running eagerly to the other side to open the car door for Lu Ruyan. Before Lu Ruyan bent down to get in, she seemed to glance in my direction. The car window immediately went up, blocking all sight. The car merged into traffic and quickly disappeared. I stood for a while, fishing out a cigarette pack from my pocket. I lit one, and the taste of tobacco rushed into my lungs, slightly suppressing the churning cold fire in my heart. Old Chen was right. It was humiliating, but not for the reason he thought. I pulled out my phone. The screen lit up. The lock screen wallpaper was still a photo taken at the beach a few years ago when we first got married. She was smiling happily, leaning on my shoulder. I unlocked the screen, clicked on the inconspicuous icon. It was all black, requiring both fingerprint and a 6-digit password for entry. It was very clean inside, with only a few folders. I opened one of them. Inside were dense timestamps. The earliest date on a file was 3 years ago, the weekend she first told me that the company needed her to work overtime and not to wait up for her. I closed it, stubbed out the cigarette, and threw it into the trash can. I returned to the large apartment that was once called home. It was empty and cold. She probably hadn't been back recently. The air had a strange smell, a mix of dust and evaporated aromatherapy. I didn't turn on the main lights, only switched on the old desk lamp in the study. I built this computer myself. The side panel of the case was transparent, but I had long since turned off the RGB lighting. Only a few indicator lights glowed faintly. I wasn't in a hurry to turn it on or make any apology videos. First, I pulled out a dusty, hardbound notebook from the bottom shelf of the bookcase. Flipping through the first few dozen pages, it was filled with various algorithm sketches and project ideas, in messy handwriting. From the middle onwards, the content changed. It became dates, locations, amounts, license plate numbers, flight information, and some social media account IDs. Page after page, recorded calmly and objectively, like experimental data. I turned to the latest blank page, picked up a pen, and by the light of the desk lamp wrote today's date and a line of text. Judgment effective. Initiate Plan B. Then I opened the computer, logged into a rarely used secondary social media account that was linked to an overseas virtual phone number. This secondary account's following list only contained Lu Ruyan and her assistant's show-off account. The latest post was a photo of a steering wheel, posted 10 minutes ago, with the caption, "A gift from CSS. So happy." The Porsche crest was clearly visible in the center of the steering wheel. Looking at the background, the car was already parked in the underground garage of a high-end apartment. I took a screenshot. Then I opened my main account, certified as a senior system architect at a certain tech company. I didn't have many followers, a few thousand, mostly colleagues. I turned on the webcam, adjusted the angle so that the thick professional books on the bookshelf and the certificate of a patent I obtained in the industry on the wall were visible in the background. The certificate's frame reflected faintly, showing a corner of the computer screen covered in dense code. I pressed the record button. The man in the video looked a bit tired, with dark circles under his eyes and an unshaven beard. He wore a slightly faded gray knitted shirt. He licked his somewhat dry lips at the camera, his Adam's apple bobbing. It seemed difficult for him to speak. "I am Lin Fan." His voice was a bit hoarse, but still steady. "Today, the court's judgment came down. I hereby formally apologize to Ms. Lu Ruyan, my wife." I paused for a few seconds, my gaze directed at the camera, yet also seemingly looking through it at something else. I shouldn't have gotten angry with her for using the project bonus I earned from 3 consecutive months of overtime to buy that limited edition bag. My tone was very serious, even tinged with regret. It's her choice if she likes it. I shouldn't interfere. Nor should I have had an issue when she asked me to move my study to the smaller bedroom so that her favorite assistant, her promising young colleague, could rest in the more spacious guest room. To facilitate their overtime work. She was doing it for work. I shouldn't have misunderstood. And even more, I shouldn't have overreacted when I discovered her and that colleague studying hotel room service guides and jewelry appraisal manuals together to spice up their mundane married life, acting irrationally and damaging her reputation. I spoke very slowly, each sentence seemingly carefully considered. "Here, I solemnly promise, I will deeply reflect on my mistakes. Tomorrow, the day after tomorrow, and every day until the 10th day. I will apologize to her here on time, recording my remorse. I hope Miss Lu Ruyan can feel my sincerity. And thank you all for your attention." The video wasn't long, a little over 3 minutes. I checked it once. No editing, one continuous shot. My expression was consistently sincere, even a little humble. Then I drafted the caption, typing it in word by word. "In accordance with the court's judgment, I publicly apologize to my wife, Ms. Lu Ruyan. Day 1. I shouldn't have failed to understand your pursuit of enriching our marital experience, and shouldn't have failed to appreciate your efforts to bring vitality to our family. I'm sorry. At Qingliu Buji." I carefully checked if the AT account was correct, confirmed the hashtag apology to my loving wife, Day 1. The cursor hovered over the send button. I took a breath. My finger descended. A spinning circle appeared on the screen, then a notification that it was sent successfully. I closed the page, closed the laptop. The study fell back into dimness. Only the desk lamp illuminated a small area of the desk in front of me. Outside the window, city lights began to twinkle. The faint sound of traffic came from afar. I took out another spare phone from the drawer, turned it on, opened the largest short video platform, and refreshed the trending topics list. The list was still full of singing and dancing, celebrity gossip, and social news. I got up and went to the kitchen, took out a bottle of ice water from the fridge, unscrewed the cap, and drank a few gulps. The water was very cold, flowing down my throat, making me feel a bit more awake. Back in the study, I reopened the spare phone and refreshed the trending topics list again. The third spot, which had just been an entertainment news item, had now quietly been replaced by a new entry. That entry was followed by a bright red hot tag. It was precisely hashtag apology to my loving wife day 1. I clicked on the entry. The first item was the video I had just posted. The view count was increasing visibly, and the comment count was skyrocketing like crazy. The top comment had already been pushed up. It was from a netizen named Sharp-Eyed Class Rep. Wait, let me summarize. Bonus money, bought a bag, assistant. Staying in the guest room, studying hotel service guides. This apology has a lot of information, bruz. Thousands of replies followed below, stacking up and continuously increasing. I turned off the screen, placed the phone on the desk. Night had completely fallen. Through the gap in the tightly drawn curtains, I could see scattered lights in the building opposite. I didn't know which family was watching TV. Light and shadow flickered on the window. I sat in the darkness, motionless. The old desk lamp on the desk had a small chip missing from its shade. That was from Lu Ruyan throwing something in a fit of rage once. Light leaked from that gap, casting a small, blurry, irregular patch of light on the wall. In the garage downstairs, my domestic SUV, which I'd driven for 7 or 8 years, was quietly parked next to where her Porsche used to be, looking rather shabby. In the morning, I was woken up by my phone vibrating. It wasn't an alarm clock, but a dense flurry of message notifications, like rain. I grabbed it and saw the screen was crammed with notifications from various social media platforms. Likes, comments, shares, DMs. The red unread number kept jumping, unstoppable. I leaned against the headboard, squinting, and scrolled through. Last night's video had already surpassed 8 million views. The comment section was completely overwhelmed. The top comments rotated again and again. The initial comment from Sharp-Eyed Class Rep had an endless thread of replies beneath it. Some people screenshotted the video frame by frame, analyzing the bookshelf in the background. That computer systems, a programmer's perspective. On the third shelf, left side, is an out-of-print edition. This guy's a real tech whiz. I checked the patent certificate number on the wall. It's real. High value. His knitted shirt sleeves are pilling. And then there's that limited edition bag he mentioned in his apology. Some people started making memes. Studying hotel service guides? Sis has a wide range of interests. Probably has research insights from 5-star hotels to themed rooms, right? Adjusting married life. The literary skill isn't enough. People don't understand. Translate, translate. My wife uses my money to keep a toy boy, and I still have to apologize to her? More people were asking for updates. So what's the apology for day 2? Waiting for updates, blogger? Hang in there. We love this kind of sincere apology. At Qinglu Bougie, come out and say something. Accept the apology with some sincerity. I scrolled down a bit and saw a few familiar names. They were former colleagues or peers. They hadn't commented publicly, but had sent me private messages. The content was similar. Old Lin, what's going on? Do you need help? I watched the video. Are you okay? I replied to each of them. I'm fine. Just doing what the court requires. Thanks. After replying, I exited that account as if stepping out of a noisy market. The world suddenly became quiet. I got up, brushed my teeth, and washed my face. The man in the mirror had a scruffy beard, and the bloodshot in his eyes hadn't faded yet, but his gaze was calm. I splashed cold water on my face. The coolness made me feel awake. The kitchen fridge was empty, only half a carton of expired milk left. I took it out, sniffed it, and poured it down the drain. In the cupboard, I found the last packet of instant noodles, boiled them in plain water, added a little soy sauce, and ate them at the empty dining table. The slurping sounds echoed in the excessively quiet house. Sunlight slanted in from the floor-to-ceiling window, revealing tiny dust motes dancing in the light beam. She chose this house, a large apartment in the city center. It was good, but the property management fees were expensive. When we bought it, I felt the pressure was too great. She said it was fitting for her status. Now, thinking about it, she was talking about her status, not our home. After eating the noodles and washing the bowl, I returned to the study. Before opening the computer, I tore a blank page from the hardbound notebook, picked up a pen, thought for a moment, and began to write down the key points for today's apology. This wasn't for the judge, nor for the netizens. It was for myself. It had to be logically clear, with a definite direction, and also legal and compliant, so no one could find fault. I wrote and drew, made a few corrections, and finally settled on 3 points. Then I opened the webcam. It was the same position as yesterday, and the background hadn't changed. I changed my clothes, an old, faded dark blue shirt. The collar was a bit loose. I didn't shave, and even deliberately messed up my hair a bit. The state had to remain consistent. I couldn't be haggard and humble yesterday and suddenly radiant today. I pressed the record button. Day 2, I said, looking at the camera. My voice a little hoarser than yesterday, as if I hadn't slept well or had been crying. Lu Ruyan. The pause was longer than yesterday. My eyes were a bit vacant, as if lost in thought or struggling to find words. I shouldn't have felt uncomfortable when you told me that the company's cash flow was a bit tight and that we needed to cut expenses at home, asking me to quit smoking and drive less to save on gas money. I gave a bitter, brief smile, which quickly faded back into into that heavy expression. And even more, I shouldn't have lost my temper and argued with you when you sold your Mercedes, claiming the business needed cash, and then immediately bought a Porsche for your assistant, that young colleague, as a performance bonus. I took a deep breath, slowly exhaled, my shoulders slumping slightly. It's your company, your money, how you spend it. I really have no right to question. Registering the car in his name was also for legitimate tax avoidance, for the company's development. I shouldn't have used narrow-minded thoughts to speculate about you. It was all for this family. I understand. I'm sorry. I will continue to reflect. The video was also very short. I checked it once. When mentioning Porsche and registered in his name, my expression was particularly pained and confused, my tone carrying the struggle of trying to convince myself but finding it truly difficult to comprehend. Good. Edit caption. Apology. Day 2. Regarding the car, I was wrong. I was narrow-minded and didn't understand your business strategy and good intentions. At Qinglu Buji. #apology to my loving wife. Day 2. Send. This time I didn't close it immediately. I refreshed the page, watching the small spinning icon disappear. The new post popped up. Almost instantly, the numbers for likes and comments began to jump. I didn't look closely. I switched to the trending topics interface. #apology to my loving wife. Day 2. This hashtag shot up like a rocket, from off the charts to within the top 20 in 10 minutes, and its ranking was still climbing. An associated trending topic appeared below. #Porsche Performance Bonus. The hashtag was followed by a new tag. I closed the computer. From the bottom locked drawer of my desk, I took out a very old tablet. I turned it on, connected to a virtual network that didn't log activity, and logged into a cloud drive. It contained many categorized items: pictures, documents, spreadsheets, audio files, all clearly labeled with dates. I opened a folder named V-Logistics. Inside were scanned documents, some bank statement screenshots, partial photos of company account spreadsheets, and a few blurry but recognizable signed pages. These weren't originals. I had quickly scanned or photographed them with my phone over the past 3 years when Lu Ruyan wasn't paying attention. She always thought I didn't understand business matters and was too lazy to guard against me. The statements showed several significant sums regularly transferred from one of her company's contingency accounts to a personal account. The name on that account wasn't Lu Ruyan's, nor was it the assistant's. It was an unfamiliar name, but the transfer memo read, Yang XX Business Commission or Special Bonus. Yang was the assistant's surname. Bro, one of the photos was a vehicle purchase application form. The reason for application was Executive Incentive Model, Porsche. The user signed was the assistant's name, and the approver signed was Lu Ruyan. The date was just 1 week before she told me the company was short on funds and needed to sell the car. Individually, these things might all be explainable, but when combined with the content of my apology videos, the flavor completely changed. There are many capable people among netizens. Words like misappropriation of funds. I need to add fuel slowly, one stick at a time. I put the tablet away, locked the drawer again. My phone rang. This time it wasn't a notification, but an incoming call. A name flashed on the screen. It wasn't Lu Ruyan. It was her mother, my former mother-in-law. I stared at the screen for a few seconds, waiting for it to ring 7 or 8 times before slowly picking it up. Hello, Mom? I still used the old address. The voice on the other end was urgent and sharp. The background a bit noisy, like she was outside. Lin Fan, what are you playing at? What are those things you're posting? Aren't you embarrassed enough? Royan's phone is practically exploding. Even her company's shareholders are calling to ask. Delete them immediately. Right now. I walked to the window, watching people walking their dogs in the garden downstairs. The court ordered me to apologize. 10 days. I have to comply. Is that what you call an apology? That's being sarcastic. That's slandering. Lin Fan, I used to think you were an honest kid. How did you become like this? Royan might have done some things wrong, but couldn't you two sort it out privately? Why drag it online for the whole world to laugh at? How is she supposed to face people afterwards? Can the company even continue to operate? Mom? I interrupted, my voice not loud. When she sued me, did she think about how I would face people? When the judge ordered me to apologize, he didn't say to do it privately. I'm just following the judgment. Is there a problem? The other end of the phone choked. Only heavy breathing remained. And, I added, my tone flat. Yesterday outside the courthouse, she told me it was just for fun. She'd come back when she was done playing. She asked me to understand. Have you heard that before? Silence. A long silence. Only the faint crackle of electricity. After a long while, her voice dropped, carrying a sense of fatigue and unspeakable difficulty. Lin Fan, Rian, she's willful. We spoiled her. But you two are husband and wife, after all. Can't you talk things over properly? Do you really want to ruin her? I don't want to ruin anyone. I looked at my reflection in the glass. I'm just doing what I was asked to do. Apologize. Publicly and sincerely. Again, silence. She seemed not to know what to say. Do you really want to completely break up this family? This family. I paused. It broke up a long time ago. From the day she took someone else to choose Julie jewelry, and left the guest room at home for someone else to work overtime. It was over. Mom, I have something to do. I'm hanging up now. Before she could speak again, I pressed disconnect. The phone went quiet. Outside the window, a sparrow landed on the outdoor air conditioner unit, hopped twice, and flew away again. I stood for a while, returned to the study, reopened the spare phone. On the trending topics, my new entry had already climbed to the top 10. I clicked on it. Sure enough, enthusiastic netizens had already dug up the Porsche 4S dealership visit records. True or false? I didn't know. There were also so-called insiders from the company leaking information. True or false? Hard to tell. They said that car was specially approved by CEO Liu for Little Yang and how the invoice was issued, etc. Public opinion snowballed, growing larger and larger. At first it was about personal relationships, but now it subtly shifted towards financial issues. This was exactly what I wanted. Liu Ruyan's company wasn't too big, but it had some reputation locally. For a company dealing in high-end home furnishings, the biggest fear was the boss having questionable personal ethics, especially when company assets were involved. Shareholders and clients would start to have doubts. I could imagine her now, overwhelmed and anxious, having to deal with shareholder inquiries, having to appease client emotions, having to handle media inquiries, and still having to coax that frightened assistant who might start demanding more benefits. This was only day 2. I picked up the hardbound notebook, turned to a new page, checked off day 2, and then wrote a few lines. Strong reaction. Mother-in-law pressured. Public opinion shifting to financial issues. Monitor shareholder movements. I closed the notebook. Suddenly, I felt a bit hungry. That bowl of plain noodles in the morning wasn't enough. I changed my clothes, grabbed my keys and phone, and went downstairs. I didn't drive the SUV, I walked. There was an old street outside the community with many small eateries. I found a noodle shop I used to frequent. The owners were an old couple. "Oh, little Lin, long time no see." The proprietress recognized me. While wiping the table, she said, "Still beef noodles, extra green onions? No cilantro. Thank you." I sat down. The shop was small, the tables and chairs simple and clean. The aroma of stewing beef wafted from the pot, mixed with the smell of green onions. It was very comforting. While waiting for the noodles, I casually scrolled through my phone. There was another private message from an unfamiliar ID. Just one sentence. "Mr. Lin, your video is very interesting. Regarding your wife's company's tax issues, perhaps I have some information you might be interested in." I stared at the message for a few seconds. Didn't reply. Nor did I click on the sender's profile. The noodles arrived, steaming hot. The beef was thickly sliced, the broth rich. I broke apart the disposable chopsticks, chewed a mouthful, and ate. The taste was the same as before, unchanged. The TV in the shop was on, volume low, playing the midday news. The proprietress sat behind the counter, looking at her phone. Suddenly, she exclaimed, "Oh," and said to her husband, "Old man, look, isn't this news about our neighborhood? That expensive apartment complex? They're saying a female boss was exposed online for having illicit affairs and using company money to buy a car for her toy boy." The boss leaned over to look. "Where? Let me see. These people nowadays." I lowered my head and ate my noodles, drinking the last drop of soup. A slight sweat broke out on my forehead. I paid and thanked the proprietress and walked out of the noodle shop. The sun was just right, warmly shining on me. Old trees lined both sides of the old street, their leaves a bit wilted from the sun. Cicadas chirped tirelessly. I slowly walked back, not in a hurry. My phone vibrated again in my pocket. This time, it was a text message from an unknown number. The content was concise. "Mr. Lin, I am Zhao Jiangguo, the second largest shareholder of Liu Ruyan's company. Do you have time to talk?" I stopped, standing in the shade of a tree, looking at the text message. The cicada chirping grew louder and louder. I replied with 3 words, time and place. Then I put my phone back in my pocket and continued walking. My steps seemed a little lighter than when I came. At the entrance of a roadside grocery store, a yellow dog lay on the ground, panting. Seeing me pass by, it lazily lifted its eyelids. The place Zhao Jiangguo chose was a quiet tea house in the old city. The facade was small, the wooden sign weathered white by time. Only 2 characters were on it. Jingwan. Pushing open the wooden door, a scent of aged tea mixed with old wood wafted over. The light inside was a bit dim. There were a few square tables, not many customers. It was quiet enough to hear the gurgling of boiling water in the back room. A waiter in a blue cloth jacket led me upstairs. The wooden stairs creaked underfoot. At the very end was a small private room. The door was ajar. I knocked. A voice, a bit hoarse and smoky, said, "Come in." Inside sat a man in his 50s, with a square face and slightly graying temples. He wore a slightly worn polo shirt, holding a small purple clay pot and slowly sipping from it. On the table were a few plates of dried fruits and a small incense burner, exuding a faint sandalwood scent mixed with the tea aroma. He looked up at me, his gaze sharp, as if sweeping over me. "Lin Fan? Mr. Zhao?" I nodded and sat down opposite him. The chair was hard wood, without a cushion. He didn't rush to speak, poured me a cup of tea. The tea was very dark, pushed it towards me. "Try it. Old pu'er. It's been aged for some years." I picked it up and took a sip. I don't understand tea, only found it bitter. But after swallowing it, there was a slight aftertaste in my throat. "I watched your video." Zhao Jiangguo put down the small pot, leaned back in his chair, his fingers lightly tapping on the table. I've been watching it for the past 2 days. I didn't respond, waiting for him to continue. Very interesting, he smiled, a bit dryly, the smile not reaching his eyes. On the surface, it's an apology, but secretly, you're fanning the flames towards the company's accounts. Young man, your methods are quite seasoned, not like someone who only knows technology. The court ruled it. I just followed orders. I said, followed orders. He nodded. You did very well. Now there are rumors outside. Everyone is saying Lu Ruyan embezzled company money to support a toy boy. Several old clients called, hinting at things. The two smaller shareholders are also getting restless. He looked at me, his gaze like a scale weighing my worth. I watched Lu Ruyan enter the industry. She's capable and driven, but in recent years, she's become a bit too arrogant. He spoke slowly, as if talking about someone else's business. It's not easy for the company to get to where it is today. It's the livelihood of us old folks and dozens of employees below. We can't let her mess around and ruin the company. I listened quietly, my fingers tracing the rough teacup. In your hands, he leaned forward, leaning in and lowering his voice. Besides those insinuating things in the video, do you have anything more substantial? Like unclear points in the accounts? Records of transfers to that kid? Or anything else? The private room was very quiet, only the faint sound of boiling water from downstairs. The scent of sandalwood was a bit heavy. Mr. Zhao, I began, my voice flat. I'm just a husband ordered by the court to apologize. The court told me to apologize, so I apologize. As for other things, I don't understand company matters, and I have no right to inquire. Zhao Jianguo stared at me for several seconds, then suddenly burst into laughter. The laughter wasn't loud, but it sounded a bit dry. Sly dog, he nodded. I get it. You have the stuff, or you can get it, but you won't give it away for free, right? He leaned back again, sighed. The smile faded from his face, revealing the shrewdness and calmness of a businessman discussing serious matters. I've talked to those old partners. If Lu Ruyan keeps this up, the company's reputation will be ruined, and business will definitely be affected. We want her to take a break for a while. At least hand over the authority for daily company management. But we need a plausible reason. Reason. I understood what he meant. Shareholder infighting, a forced palace coup, needed a knife, a stepping stone. The public opinion stirred by my apologies was a favorable wind, but not strong enough. They needed something concrete that could be presented officially. She won't give up easily, I said. So she needs some pressure. Zhao Jianguo picked up a very ordinary craft paper file bag from beside his feet, pushed it to the center of the table. There's some stuff in here. It's preliminary material on some of her non-compliant reimbursements and related party transactions over the past few years. Not ironclad evidence, but enough to get the audit department to come in for a chat, and enough to make her uncomfortable at a shareholder meeting for a while. I didn't touch the file bag. Where did you get this? I asked. I'm not the only one in the company who dislikes her ways. Finance manager Lu has been with me for 20 years, he said lightly. His son wanted to advance some bonus money last year to buy a house. Lu Ruyan blocked it, saying there were no such rules. Old Lu held a grudge. I understood. Damaged interests coupled with disapproval made for the best allies. Keep posting your videos, Zhao Jianguo said, his tone becoming decisive. Keep the fire burning outside. As for the stuff in here, he pointed to the file bag. You can look at it. Some details might make your future apologies more vivid and specific. When the time is right, let it accidentally leak to the right people. You don't need to show your face personally. And then, I asked, then at the shareholder meeting she'll be asked to explain. If she can't explain, she'll have to step down as general manager for a while. As for you, he looked at me, the divorce. The resistance will be much smaller then. What's yours? No one on our side will support her or stop you. In fact, if some evidence is conclusive, she might have to pay a greater price to save herself. At that time, the property division might be more favorable to you. He spoke very directly. A transaction. I would provide continuous pressure and potential ammunition. They would provide internal information and convenience after the deed was done, each getting what they needed. I picked up the file bag, weighing it. It had some weight. I didn't open it, but put it into my old canvas bag. How do I know you won't abandon me after it's done? I asked a very practical question. Zhao Jianguo smiled again, this time with a hint of appreciation. You're a smart man. Empty words are useless. He took out his phone from his pocket, did a few things, and handed it to me. On the screen was a draft of a short agreement, stating principles of information exchange and non-harm. Below it were the electronic signatures of him and 2 other minor shareholders. This document has no legal effect, but it represents our attitude, he said. What we value is the company, not Lu Ruyan, and certainly not her assistant. If we push you too hard, or if we go back on our word, the things you have and your ability to apologize will also be trouble for us. Let's all leave some room for maneuver. Getting the current matter done is the most important thing. I looked at it and handed the phone back to him. I need time to look at these materials. Of course, he picked up his teacup. No rush. You still have 8 days of apologies, don't you? We can wait. Lu Ruyan sighed. He snorted. She's probably getting restless. Leaving the tea house. The afternoon sun was a bit dazzling. The canvas bag hung on my shoulder, and I could feel the sharp edges of the file bag inside. I didn't go straight home. I turned into a small park nearby, found a bench under a tree, and sat down. The park had many elderly people, playing chess, walking birds, slowly practicing Tai Chi. I took out the file bag, opened it. Inside were photocopies of printed receipts, tables, and scanned handwritten notes. I flipped through page by page. Indeed, as Zhao Jiangguo said, it wasn't ironclad evidence that could directly send someone to jail. There were several large entertainment expenses, where the invoices clearly didn't match the actual consumption locations. The person handling them was Liu Ruyan, and the approver was also herself. There was a procurement contract with a newly registered small company as the supplier. The legal representative's surname was Yang. Although the full name wasn't there, that Yang character was very conspicuous. The purchase price was said to be for temporary sample procurement, but there were no corresponding warehousing or reimbursement vouchers to follow up. Individually, these scattered items might all be explained away, but when there were many of them, it was like oil stains on clothes, hither and thither. Although not fatal, it was ugly enough to make people wonder if the clothes were truly clean, especially when everyone was already starting to doubt you. I put everything away, leaned back on the bench, and closed my eyes. The shadows of the leaves flickered on my eyelids with specks of light. In my ears were the sounds of children laughing from afar and the warbling of Peking opera. I didn't know which old person was listening to the radio. What was Liu Ruyan doing now? Was she losing her temper at her subordinates in the office? Was she comforting her panicked assistant? Or was she calling her legal team to discuss how to retaliate? Did she know that Zhao Jiangguo and his people had started to move? Would she regret patting my face like that outside the courthouse and saying those words? I opened my eyes and checked the time. It was time to go back and prepare for the third day's apology. Back home, the study was still cold and quiet. I locked the canvas bag in the drawer, not rushing to open the computer. First, I took out the hardbound notebook. Under the Day 3 heading, I wrote, "Obtained materials. Shareholder internal conflict exploited. Can delve into specific financial irregularities." Then I started to plan the content for today's video. I couldn't directly reveal the contents of the file bag. That would be too obvious and could easily backfire. I had to hint and insinuate through the apology. I thought for a moment, then opened the webcam. On the third day, I looked even more tired. My eye bags were prominent, my hair even messier. I wore a t-shirt with a slightly crooked collar. In the background, the professional books from yesterday were still there, but now there was an empty instant noodle cup and crumpled tissues beside them. Day 3. My voice was a bit faint, as if lacking strength. "Liu Ruyan, I'm sorry." I rubbed my temples, very hard, as if they ached. "I shouldn't have looked through your old notebook that you left at home." I showed a hint of regret and embarrassment. And even more, I shouldn't have seen some company figures recorded in it, like sample procurement subsidies, special channel fees, and several recurring initial surnames, and then overthought it, doubting your rigor in handling company finances, even suspecting that you used company money for maintaining inappropriate personal relationships. I paused, my gaze flickering away, as if I'd said something unspeakable. "That must be your business secret, or some financial operation I don't understand. I shouldn't have doubted you just because I didn't understand. You've been running a company for so many years. You must have your reasons and difficulties. I shouldn't have used my narrow-minded technical thinking to speculate about complex business behaviors. I'm sorry. I will continue to reflect on myself and strive to understand your world." The video ended. The caption I edited was very simple. Apology. Day 3. Regarding financial confusion, I was wrong. I shouldn't have questioned your professional judgment. The business world is too deep. I thought too simply. At Qinglu Buji, #apology to my loving wife. Day 3. Send. This time I didn't wait to see the reaction. I closed the page directly and went to the kitchen to boil water. While waiting for the water to boil, I leaned against the counter, watching the sky outside gradually darken. The kettle whistled. I made a cup of the cheapest bagged green tea, brought it back to the study, and sat down. I opened the spare phone. On the trending topics list, #apology to my loving wife. Day 3 had climbed to 7th place. A new related topic appeared below. #what are sample procurement subsidies? The hashtag was followed by a hot tag. I clicked into my video. The comment section, as expected, exploded again. "Here they come. Where's the class rep? Quick, translate. Sample, procurement subsidies, special channel fees, initialed surnames. This is a lot of information. Highlight the key points. Old notebook left at home? Bro, your hands are not idle. Well done. Business secrets. Difficulties. What kind of difficulties? This apology is getting deeper and deeper. Am I the only one who noticed the blogger's instant noodle cup and tissues today? His condition is getting worse. My heart aches for the blogger for a second. At Qingli Ubuja, sis, remember to put your notebook away? Also, check out financial compliance." I slowly scrolled through the comments, drinking a sip of tea. The tea was very astringent, with no aroma. Several more private messages appeared. Some continued to curse me, some encouraged me, and some headhunters quietly asked if I was interested in new job opportunities, probably thinking I was about to get divorced and needed money. There was also a message from that unfamiliar ID that had previously mentioned tax issues. This time, the content was a bit more, "Mr. Lin, it seems you have more materials than I thought. Sample procurement subsidies are a good entry point. Perhaps we can exchange some information. You might be interested in the actual controlling shareholder of that company with the surname Yang." I stared at this message, my finger hovering above the screen for a while. Then I closed the private message interface. No rush. Let the pressure from Zhao Jiangguo and his people fly life for a while longer. Let Liu Ruyan first taste what it's like to be besieged from within and without, deserted by all. I picked up the hardbound notebook, added another line under today's record. Unfamiliar ID, second contact, mentioned controlling shareholder of Yang Surname Company, and be kept as a backup. The sky outside was completely dark. City lights flickered on, one by one, near and far, bright and dim. The desk lamp on the desk still cast a thin beam of light from the chipped shade, diagonally hitting a wall, like a thin, quiet blade drawn from its sheath. At 6 in the morning, my phone rang. It wasn't an alarm clock, but an unknown number, a local landline. I stared at it vibrating for a long time, until it automatically hung up. Less than 10 seconds later, it called again. I answered, but didn't speak. Lin Fan, are you crazy? What exactly do you want? It was Liu Ruyan's voice, sharp and hoarse, completely devoid of her usual composed tone. The background was chaotic, with car horns and indistinct voices. I didn't make a sound. Why are you pretending to be dead? Look at those things online. Look at what the company has become. Shareholders are making a fuss. Clients are asking questions. Even the tax bureau called to schedule an audit. It's all you. Those damn videos you posted. She spoke rapidly, like a machine gun, panting heavily. I'm telling you, delete them immediately. Delete all of them. Publicly clarify that you were talking nonsense. Otherwise, I'll make you suffer. The court ordered 10 days, I said, my voice a bit dry from just waking up. There are still 7 days left. Go to hell with your court. She almost screamed. Lin Fan, don't push your luck. Do you think your little tricks can do anything to me? I'm telling you, if I can find people to delete posts, I can find people to deal with you. I'll make sure you can't survive in this industry. Do you believe me? I believe you, I said. You've always been very capable. The other end of the phone seemed to choke, only heavy breathing. After a while, her voice was lower, but colder, like it was tempered in ice. Fine, Lin Fan. You're determined to tear me apart, aren't you? Fine, divorce. Dream on. Just you wait. After these 10 days are over, you'll see what I do to you. That house of yours, your parents' meager savings, and your pathetic job, you'll see how I smash them all, little by little. Whatever you want, I said, and hung up. I threw the phone aside. I lay on the bed, staring at the ceiling. The morning light squeezed through the gap in the curtains, a gray-white beam cutting through the dim room. Dust motes slowly floated in that beam of light. My heart was beating a bit fast, but not out of fear. It was a strange, cold excitement. She was anxious, truly anxious. She even directly said things like, deal with you and smash you. This indicated that the pressure she felt was even greater than I imagined. Zhao Jianguo and his people were not slow in their actions. After lying in bed for a few more minutes, I got up to wash. I boiled an egg and ate half a bag of stale toast with cold water. The toast crust was a bit hard, difficult to chew. After eating, I sat down in front of the computer. I didn't rush to open the webcam. First, I opened the spare phone. The unfamiliar ID in my private messages had sent another message. This time, it was a thumbnail of an image. The specific content was unclear, followed by a sentence. 10 a.m. 3rd floor, Natural Science Reading Area, Old City Library. The seat closest to the window. Bring your questions of interest. Alone. I clicked to view the large image. It was very blurry, like a partial equity structure diagram with key parts pixelated. But an arrow connecting a Yang character and a Liu character was vaguely visible. The message was sent at 3 a.m. I replied, who? It was almost an instant reply. Because I know. Liu Ruyan has cashed out at least this amount from that shell company over the past 3 years. A number followed. Not large, but not small either. Enough to warrant attention. And because I know Zhao Jianguo has already contacted you. But what he gave you was just scraps. I stared at the screen. This person knew Zhao Jianguo. Knew Zhao Jianguo gave me things. And knew more. Was it someone from Zhao Jianguo's side? It didn't sound like an insider from Liu Ruyan's company, finance manager Liu, or some other aggrieved party. There were definitely risks, but it was worth taking. I needed more cards, harder cards. I replied with one word. Okay. I checked the time. Oh, 8:30? There was still some time before the 4th day's apology video was to be posted, and an hour and a half until the meeting. I opened a document and started writing the key points for today's video. I couldn't use the old excuse of notebook and accounts anymore. I needed a more natural, more accidental reason. But the information revealed had to be more specific, more directly pointing to that shell company. I thought for a moment and started writing. Accidentally found an old USB drive with some old life photos saved on it, and a few electronic documents I forgot to delete. Drafts. It seemed to be about a company called A Certain Home Design Studio. Legal representative surnamed Yang. Saw Liu Ruyan's name as a special consultant in the list of initiators. Also involved a discussion about technical equity contribution. I shouldn't overthink it. After writing, I pondered for a moment. A home design studio could be related to her company's main business. Technical equity contribution hinted at potential non-monetary benefit transfers. Special consultant, a vague but related identity, plus that Yang character. That was enough. Let the netizens and Zhao Jianguo's people dig up the rest. At 9 o'clock sharp, I opened the webcam. Today, I deliberately tidied myself up. I shaved my beard clean, combed my hair, and changed into a clean shirt. But my complexion was still adjusted to that forced, haggard look. In the background, the instant noodle cup was gone. but an open toolbox was on the desk, containing old routers, circuit boards, and a few USB drives. Day 4, I said, forcing a slightly tired smile at the camera. Lu Ruyan, I'm sorry. I picked up a black old USB drive, turning it unconsciously between my fingers. Yesterday I was tidying up my study, looking for some old documents, and found this. I shook the USB drive. I used this many years ago, plugged it into the computer and saw some old photos from when we first got married and went traveling. It brought back memories. There were also some messy documents. I paused, my brows slightly furrowed, as if recalling. There were a few documents with strange names, like drafts. I opened one. It seemed to be about the preparations for a company called Xingyue Home Design Studio. It's been a while. I can't remember clearly. I just glanced at it and saw the legal representative's surname was Yang. Then your name also seemed to be on it, listed as special consultant, and somewhere it mentioned technical support for discounted equity. I quickly shook my head, put down the USB drive as if it were hot. I shouldn't have looked at these. This must be an early concept for your company's business expansion, or a plan you helped a friend with. It's all in the past. I shouldn't overthink it. And even more, I shouldn't have had bad associations just because I saw a surname Yang. You always plan things well and act with discretion. I lowered my head and rubbed my face. I'm sorry. I always can't control my suspicions. I will continue to adjust my mindset. The video ended. The caption I wrote was very concise. Apology. Day 4, regarding old documents from the past, I was wrong. I shouldn't have made wild associations. Everyone has past business endeavors. At Qinglu Buj. Hashtag apology to my loving wife. Day 4. Send. I closed the computer. I changed into an inconspicuous gray jacket, emptied the old canvas bag, putting only my phone, keys, and a pen, and a palm-sized small notebook inside. After thinking for a moment, I tore out the page from the hardbound notebook with scattered records about the Yang surname company, folded it, and put it into my inner pocket. I took the subway. I was very familiar with the old city library. Before I got married, I used to come often. After marriage, I never set foot there again. The place hadn't changed, just gotten older. The air was filled with the unique quiet scent of paper and old wood. The third floor, natural science reading area, had almost no one. By the window, that row of seats had only one man with a slightly hunched back, wearing a dark blue jacket, sitting at the innermost seat with a thick bird identification guide spread open in front of him. I walked over and sat down opposite him. He looked up, around 60 years old, with white hair, wearing old-fashioned black-rimmed glasses. His face was very thin, his cheekbones prominent. His eyes were calm, but revealed a shrewdness and caution acquired from long-term interaction with numbers. Unfamiliar face. Mr. Lin? His voice was very low, a bit hoarse. And you are? My surname is Liu, he said, his fingers unconsciously tracing the hard cover of the guide. I used to manage the accounts at CE's CEO Liu's company. I retired last year. Finance manager Liu, Zhao Jianguo, had mentioned him. It seemed he wasn't Zhao Jianguo's man, or at least not entirely. Mr. Liu? I nodded. What do you want to talk about? He didn't answer directly. He took out a very old craft paper notebook from his Huai, thicker than mine, with worn edges. He pushed it over, opened it to a page. It had a handwritten table. Date, description, amount, related party. The handwriting was neat and clear, the work of an experienced accountant. This is all the transaction details between Xingyue Studio, later renamed Xingyue Trading, and CEO Liu's company, he said in a low voice, his finger pointing at a few key figures. On the surface, the procurement prices were inflated. The difference was channeled through complex related accounts and eventually flowed into several specific personal accounts. One of them was the distant cousin of that assistant in your video. The other was in the name of Liu Ruyan's mother. I quickly scanned it. The amount matched the figure Zhao Jianguo mentioned, but the path was clearer. Why are you showing me this? I asked old Liu. He closed the notebook, but didn't take it back, leaving it in the center of the table. My son needed money urgently to buy a house. I wanted to advance some bonus money. Liu Ruyan said there were no such rules in the company. Those rules were set by her. Later, I heard she turned around and lent a sum of money to that assistant for the down payment on the Porsche, calling it a private loan. He smiled a bit bitterly. I worked for 20 years, kept the financial accounts spotless, never took a penny I shouldn't have. Nearing retirement, I wanted to help my son, but she blocked me with rules. I couldn't swallow that. He looked out the window. Outside the library was an old locust tree, its leaves almost all fallen. Zhao Jianguo and his people are looking for you because they want to remove her from the general manager position to save the company. If their goal is achieved, these messy accounts might not all be exposed. They might even help cover it up, fearing it would affect the company's valuation. He turned back to me, his eyes behind the glasses bright. I'm different. I just want her to stumble, to let her know that not everyone will indulge her, and money isn't something she can do whatever she wants with. You happen to be doing this, and I think you might need this. Is this a photocopy? I asked. The original? He said, I'm used to handwritten backups. The ones on the computer. She asked me clear some before the last audit. I did as she asked, but I didn't hand this one over. This was also a bomb. If I took it, I'd be tied to him, but its power was indeed greater. What do you want? I asked directly. Nothing. Old Liu shook his head. I'm retired. My son has bought his house. I just don't want this thing to rot in my hands. How to use it? When to use it? How much to use? You decide. Just don't drag me into it. He paused. I know your technical background. These things will be more useful in your hands than in mine. He stood up, pushed the thick notebook further towards me. I need to go pick up my grandson from school. He picked up the bird identification guide, tucked it under his arm, gave me a slight nod, turned, and left. His footsteps were light, and he quickly disappeared behind the bookshelves. I sat motionless. Sunlight streamed in through the window, falling on the old notebook. The cover had some stains, like rust from years of use. I picked it up, put it into my canvas bag. It was heavy. I sat in the library for a while longer, before getting up to leave. On the way back by subway, the carriage swayed. I looked at my blurry reflection in the glass of the opposite window, and then at the square outline of the canvas bag at my feet. Back home, it was past 2 p.m. I locked old Lu's notebook in the drawer, with the file bag from Zhaojiangguo. I opened the spare phone. The fourth day's apology video had indeed gone viral again. Xing Yue Home Design Studio. Special consultant. Technical equity contribution. These terms had been singled out by netizens and were being searched across the entire internet. Some people found the company's registration information. The legal representative was indeed surnamed Yang. The registration date was exactly 3 years ago. The registered capital wasn't high, but the scope of business highly overlapped with Lu Ruyan's company. As for special consultant and technical equity contribution, there was no solid evidence yet, but it was enough to spark imagination. The direction of public opinion shifted from simple personal ethics issues and financial irregularities towards more serious accusations like benefit transfer and hollowing out the company. This was what could truly cause significant damage. Liu Ruyan didn't call again. Zhao Jiangguo, however, sent a text message, just 4 words. Good effect. I didn't reply. In the evening, I cooked a bowl of noodles and ate it at the coffee table. The TV was on, playing the local news channel. The anchor read the script clearly and precisely. Suddenly, a brief news flash interrupted. Local well-known home furnishing company, Waishang Home Furnishings, has recently been embroiled in public controversy. It is rumored that a senior executive is involved in personal ethics and financial issues. The company's stock price experienced a slight fluctuation today. Reporters attempted to contact the company's Fu Ziren, but received no response. The screen flashed past, showing the exterior of Liu Ruyan's company office building. A few people seemed to be blocking the entrance. I couldn't tell if they were reporters or something else. I turned off the TV. The room fell completely silent. Only the ticking of the wall clock's second hand was exceptionally clear. I walked to the study, didn't turn on the main lights, only switched on the desk lamp. I took out the hardbound notebook, turned to a new page. Day 4, I wrote. Phone threats. Obtained core account books. Public opinion escalated to benefit transfer. News reported. After writing, I put down the pen, leaned back in the chair. The light from the desk lamp still leaked from the chip. The shadow on the wall flickered with the occasional passing car lights outside the window, then returned to stillness. I raised my hand, looking at my palm. My knuckles were thick, my skin rough, marks left by long-term typing and tinkering with machines. These hands could write complex code and repair precise circuits. Locked in the drawer was no longer just evidence of simple emotional betrayal. It was something that could ruin a person's reputation and even send them to jail. I felt no satisfaction, nor pity, only a cold, definite, clear sensation, like solving a complex equation. Every step of the deduction pointed to the already foreseen answer. The night outside the window was thick, like unmelting ink. In the distance, in some building, a few windows were still lit, small and warm, like a few sparks accidentally left behind by the night. On the morning of the 5th day, the door was pounded. Not the doorbell, but the muffled thud of fists on the security door. Bang, bang, bang with a reckless force. I didn't open it immediately. Looking through the peephole, it was Liu Ruyan. She was alone, her hair disheveled, her eye makeup smudged black. Yesterday's exquisite suit was wrinkled, and her high heels were in her hand. She looked like she had retreated directly from some chaotic battlefield, discarding her armor and weapons. In a sorry state, the pounding stopped. She slid down against the door, her head buried in her knees. Her shoulders shook silently, but I knew she was crying. I stood behind the door for over a minute, then gently twisted the lock. The door opened a crack. She looked up sharply, as if startled, her face streaked with tears, her eyes red and swollen. Seeing me, her eyes first showed a bewildered emptiness, then quickly ignited with a fire mixed with hatred, humiliation, and despair. Lin Fan. Her voice was so hoarse it was unrecognizable. She tried to stand up, but her legs gave way and she fell back down. She simply didn't get up, looking up at me, her eyes like she wanted to devour me alive. Are you satisfied? Are you happy? The company is finished. Completely finished. I didn't speak. I stepped aside and she scrambled up, stumbling into the living room. Her bare feet trod on the cold floor. She looked around. This space, where she once dominated everything, was now empty and cold, like a huge irony. She grabbed a glass water cup from the coffee table and smashed it violently on the floor. There was a crisp crash, shards scattering. You just had to ruin me. Ruin everything I had. She screamed at me, her chest heaving violently. Those documents, those account books. Was it you? Was it you who gave them to Zhao Jiangguo and his people? Was it you who leaked them to the media? I walked to the sofa and sat down, looking at her. The court ordered me to apologize. I apologized. As for what others think or do, I can't control it. You're full of shit. She rushed over, her finger almost poking my face. Spittle flew. Lin Fan, I really underestimated you. You pretended to be a quiet person, but you were hiding so much. You were prepared all along, weren't you? From when you found out about me and Little Yang, or even earlier, you started plotting against me, didn't you? I neither denied nor admitted it, just calmly watched her hysteria. That money, I just borrowed it temporarily. I'll pay it back. The company is my life's work. Do you know how much I've sacrificed for it? She cried, tears and snot smearing her face. You know nothing. You only know how to tinker with your broken computers. What do you know about doing business? What do you know about pressure? What's wrong with me finding little Yang? I was just tired, wanted a place to lean on. She's young. She's obedient. She makes me feel like a woman again. And you, what did you ever give me? Besides indifference? Besides neglect? So, I finally spoke, my voice flat, without emotion. You used company money to buy her a car, and to inject funds into her cousin's company. To prove you're still a woman? She looked like she was choked, her eyes wide, her breathing rapid. That account in your mother's name, which receives a fixed monthly consulting fee from Xingyue Trading, was also to help you relieve stress? I continued, my pace not fast, each word like a small stone hitting her face. Her face was pale, her lips trembling as she took a step back, bumping into the dining table leg. How do you know? You even know this? Lu Ruyan. I stood up and walked closer to her. She instinctively recoiled, her back against the dining table, with nowhere to retreat. Outside the courthouse. That day you said, what can a small engineer like you do to me? Now what do you think I can do to you? She opened her mouth, but couldn't make a sound, only choked sobs. That mask of condescending control shattered completely, revealing a pale, weak core beneath, and immense fear. The shareholder meeting was moved up. This afternoon, right? I asked. Zhao Jianguo and his people are staging a coup? Her eyes were unfocused. She nodded, then suddenly grabbed my arm, her nails digging into my flesh. Lin Fan, I was wrong. I really know I was wrong. Help me. Do you have anything else? Help me cover up the accounts. Go tell Zhao Jianguo that those were fabricated by you, that you hated me and deliberately framed me. What do you want? Money? The house? I'll give you everything. Divorce? I agree. I agree to everything. Just save me. They can't send me to jail. They can't. She was incoherent. Ti Lei Heng Liu. No longer the glamorous CEO Liu of yesteryear. I pried her fingers open, one by one. Her grip was strong, but I was firm. Liu Ruyan, I said, the path was chosen by you. The money was taken by you. The person was found by you. The court ordered me to apologize. 10 days, 5 days left. These 5 days, I will continue to apologize. As for you, I looked into her desperate eyes. Fend for yourself. I walked back to the study, closed the door. Leaning against the door, I could hear muffled, broken sobs from outside, and the clatter of things being swept to the floor. After a while, the crying stopped. Then came the loud slam of the main door. The house fell silent again. I walked to the window, pulled back the curtain a little, and looked down. Liu Ruyan stumbled out of the building entrance, not even wearing shoes, running barefoot across the community path, and got into a taxi waiting by the roadside. The car quickly drove away. I let go of the curtain. The sunlight was beautiful, streaming in through the glass, warm and inviting. Dust motes danced quietly in the light beam. I sat down at the computer. I didn't immediately prepare for the 5th day's apology. First, I opened the spare phone. There were a few new messages. From Zhao Jianguo, 3 p.m. Company meeting room. Bring the materials. Time to settle this. From the unfamiliar ID Shadow. Xingyue Trading's ultimate beneficiaries' financial statements have been sent to your encrypted email. The password is your name, pinyin plus wedding anniversary. Very interesting. More than one recipient. Good luck this afternoon. There was also a message from a university classmate I hadn't contacted in a long time, now working in the economic investigation team. Old Lin, your ex-wife's company drama is quite big, huh? We seem to have received some materials here too. Might need to look into it. Keep yourself steady. I read them one by one, but didn't reply. I opened my email and downloaded the compressed file from Shadow. I unzipped it with the password provided. Inside were several clear bank statement screenshots with a longer time span, more specific amounts. Besides the recipients I already knew, there were indeed 2 more unfamiliar names, but the memos all contained the pinyin abbreviation Yang. One of the associated accounts had several recent overseas consumption records. I closed the email, opened the drawer, took out the file bag from Zhao Jianguo and old Lu's notebook. I scanned the most crucial and revealing pages with my phone, saving them into a newly created folder. After thinking for a moment, I also added the bank statement screenshots Shadow had just sent. After doing all this, I started to plan today's video. Day 5 should be the conclusion, at least the conclusion of this stage. I couldn't use the excuse of accidentally discovered anymore. I needed something different. I opened the webcam. Today, I didn't deliberately mess myself up. Instead, I was exceptionally neat and tidy. My beard was cleanly shaved. I changed into the light gray shirt I only wore on important occasions. The background was also tidied up. The instant noodle cup and toolbox were gone. The professional books on the bookshelf were meticulously arranged. The patent certificate on the wall was polished brightly. I sat down, adjusted my breathing, looked at the camera. My eyes were calm, even overly calm. Day 5, I said, my voice clear and steady. steady, without the hoarseness or fatigue of the previous days. Ms. Liu Ruyan, I'm sorry. I paused for a few seconds, as if making a final examination. I shouldn't have ignored your changes over the past 3 years. I shouldn't have easily believed you the first time you didn't come home at night, saying you drank too much with clients and stayed in a hotel. I shouldn't have told myself that you were just too tired from work when your phone password changed and you became increasingly impatient with me. I shouldn't have chosen silence after discovering those clues, out of cowardice, out of a ridiculous fantasy about this marriage. My tone was very serious, like I was delivering a rigorous fault analysis report. And even more, when I finally chose not to remain silent, I used the wrong method, publicizing private matters, triggering a series of uncontrollable chain reactions, causing profound impact on your personal reputation and the company you operate. This deviated from my original intention of solving the problem. My apology is not directed at your actions. Those are your choices, your lessons. My apology is directed at myself for my oversight, cowardice, and ignorance in a past relationship. This public apology, as of today, has fulfilled its meaning for me. For the remaining 5 days, as per the judgment, I will continue to issue statements, but there will be no new video content. Thank you to everyone who has followed this matter during this time. I nodded slightly at the camera, ending the recording. The video was short, the style completely different from the previous 4 days. No hints, no insinuations, no grievances, no anger, only a calm review and boundary setting. The caption I wrote was even simpler. Apology Day 5. Apologizing for my oversight and cowardice. Private matters end here. Subsequent judgment requirements will be fulfilled only in text form. Thank you for your attention. Hashtag apology to my loving wife Day 5. Send. This time I didn't close the page. I watched the view count begin to jump, watching the comment section quickly fill with, "What does this mean?" Screen refreshing. The apology style suddenly changed. The blogger woke up. What happened? These kinds of entries slowly climbed to the tail end of the trending topics. It was enough. I had already burned brightly enough. I didn't need to add more fuel. Let the flames spread on their own. At 2 p.m., I changed into that gray shirt, put on a black casual suit jacket. I checked the phone with the scanned documents saved on it, and also brought the old canvas bag. Inside were the original file bag and notebook. Perhaps they wouldn't be needed, but it felt more secure to have them. I took a taxi to Lu Ruyan's company building. I was once very familiar with that office building. In the first 2 years of our marriage, I occasionally came to pick her up from work. Later, it became less frequent, and then, almost never. The receptionist lady was startled to see me, clearly recognizing me. Her eyes were a bit complex. She whispered, "Mr. Lin, the shareholder meeting is in the top floor conference room. Mr. Zhao instructed that you should go straight up when you arrive." I nodded and walked towards the elevator. The elevator mirror reflected my appearance, calm, even somewhat detached. At the entrance of the top floor conference room stood Zhao Jianguo and a middle-aged man I hadn't seen before. Zhao Jianguo greeted me, saying in a low voice, "Everyone's inside." Lu Ruyan is also there. She's in a very bad state. The old guys' faces are as black as the bottom of a pot. Later, you just go in and give the materials to the meeting secretary to project. No need to say much. We'll handle the rest. He pushed open the door. The conference room was large. The long conference table was full of people. The main seat was empty. Liu Ruyan sat in the first seat to the right of the main seat. Her head bowed, her hair falling down, covering her face. Her shoulders were hunched. The seat next to her, which usually belonged to the assistant, was empty. On the other side of the table sat several older shareholders, their expressions solemn, and a few who looked like company executives, restless. I walked in. All eyes immediately focused on me. Surprise, scrutiny, contempt, sympathy, everything. Liu Ruyan suddenly looked up. Seeing it was me, her eyes instantly reddened. Her lips trembled, wanting to say something, but she was glared back into silence by a stern look from a shareholder next to her. The meeting secretary was a young girl, looking a bit nervous at Zhao Jianguo. Zhao Jianguo gestured to me. I handed him my phone. "Open that folder. Please project." The first one. The girl operated the projector screen at the front of the conference room. It lit up, showing the first scanned document. That inflated procurement contract. The legal representative of Party B was surnamed Yang. A low murmur of discussion arose in the conference room. Then came the second page. Contingency fund withdrawals without vouchers. The third page. Related account statements pointing to the assistant. Clear water. The fourth page. Key pages from old Lu's handwritten ledger. Notes clear. Associations definite. The fifth page. Shadows provided ultimate beneficiary statements. Overseas consumption records. Marked with red circles. One after another, like silent bombs exploding in the quiet conference room. The shareholders' faces grew uglier and uglier. Some began to curse under their breath. The executives exchanged glances, some wiping sweat. Liu Ruyan's face turned from white to green, and then from green to ashen. She stared fixedly at the screen. Her body began to tremble uncontrollably. Her fingers dug into the tabletop, her nails turning white. She tried to stand up, but her legs were too weak. I finished projecting the last image, put away my phone. I hadn't said a single word throughout. Zhao Jiangguo cleared his throat, speaking in a calm voice. Everyone has seen these materials. We have initially verified them. Ms. Lu Ruyan, as the company's general manager, is suspected of using her position for related party transactions and misappropriating company funds. The amount is not small, and the circumstances are serious. This has severely damaged the company's interests, betrayed shareholder trust, and is also suspected of being illegal. He turned to Liu Ruyan. CEO Liu, do you have anything to explain? Liu Ruyan opened her mouth. A gurgling sound came from her throat, but she couldn't utter a single word. She looked around. Those faces that used to be polite to her, or even flattering, were now filled with doubt, anger, and indifference. She finally looked at me, her eyes filled with unbelievable despair and a last plea. I averted my gaze. Given the above circumstances, Zhao Jiangguo continued, I propose to immediately suspend all duties of Ms. Lu Ruyan as general manager. The board of directors will authorize the establishment of a special team to fully take over company operations and cooperate with possible judicial investigations. At the same time, we will initiate legal action against Ms. Lu Ruyan. Except for Liu Ruyan slumped in her chair as if her bones had been removed. Her eyes stared blankly at the ceiling, empty and lifeless. The resolution is passed, Zhao Jiangguo announced. Secretary, draft the written resolution. Meeting adjourned. Shareholders and executives rose one after another, no one sparing Liu Ruyan a glance. They talked in low voices and quickly left, as if there was something unclean there. The conference room quickly emptied, leaving only me, Zhao Jiangguo, and the slumped Liu Ruyan. Zhao Jiangguo walked over and patted my shoulder, saying in a low voice, we'll handle the rest. I'll have someone draft the divorce agreement as soon as possible. The terms will be favorable to you. You can go home first. I nodded, glancing at Liu Ruyan. She was still in that posture, motionless, like a plaster statue rapidly weathering away. I turned and walked out of the conference room. The long corridor, covered with thick carpet, my footsteps silent. The elevator descended. Walking out of the office building, the afternoon sun was a bit dazzling. I squinted, standing by the roadside. My phone vibrated. It was from Shadow. This time, it was a photo. In the photo, the assistant, dressed impeccably, was intimately embracing another man, visibly older, smiling brightly at the entrance of a high-end restaurant. The photo was taken last night. A sentence was attached below. Little Yang's assistant is busy. Not just with Weisheng Home Furnishings. It is reported that the other person is the vice chairman of Huamei Building Materials. Saul lives alone. Coincidentally, Xingyue Trading also had several payments that eventually flowed into an account of this vice chairman's distant nephew. An interesting world, isn't it? I looked at the photo for a long time. Then I opened a ride-hailing app, entered my home address. The car drove on the elevated highway. The city scenery outside the window rapidly receded. The sunset cast a golden reddish glow on the buildings. I leaned back in the seat, closed my eyes. The canvas bag was on my lap. The sharp edges of the papers inside slightly pressing against the fabric. Many scenes flashed through my mind. When we first got married, the light in her eyes when she smiled. The first time she got a big order, excitedly hugging me and spinning around. When she started coming home late, the unfamiliar perfume scent on her. Outside the courthouse, her disdainful look when she patted my face. This morning, her collapsing and crying at my doorstep. And just now in the conference room, her completely defeated, empty eyes. It was like a long and dull movie finally reaching its end. My phone vibrated again. Lin Fan, I heard it's over there. I've reviewed the materials. The initiative for divorce and property division is completely on our side now. When are you free? Let's talk in detail. I replied, tomorrow. I put down my phone. I looked out the window. The sunset was slowly sinking below the horizon. The clouds dyed a magnificent purplish red, then slowly fading to dark blue. City lights twinkled on, one by one.